Yeah, I know it's a little bit fuzzy. I forgot to turn my lights on, but yes, hurricane watches literally are now in effect for the northern Texas coastline, now issued by the National Hurricane Center. Good morning, or good afternoon, good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. The Hurricane Watching is here with your latest update on Tropical Storm Nicholas. Tropical Storm Nicholas currently has a minimum central air pressure of 1,008 millibars. Maximum sustained winds remain at 40 miles per hour. Here's the storm right here, just well off the coast of Mexico still. There's the center of circulation, probably closer right there. Continue moving to the north-northwest. They're now saying a landfall near Matagorda Bay, Texas. Maximum sustained winds up to around 65 miles an hour. They do think that we could be dealing with, there's a possibility now they think this could potentially become a hurricane now that there's hurricane watches in effect. I'm going to get right into that right now. Yes, Nicholas expected to strengthen as it moves northward toward the northwest Gulf Coast. I cannot speak at all. But here's the storm. Here's the latest update from the National Hurricane Center. There's a storm right there, winds of 40 miles an hour. It slowed down to only moving at around 14 miles per hour. Nicholas expected to strengthen as it moves toward the northwest Gulf Coast. Storm surge warning and hurricane watch issued for a portion of the Texas coast. Summary of the 4 p.m. 2100 UTC information. Location is at 22.8 degrees north, 95.5 degrees west, about 160 miles east-southeast of La Pesca, Mexico, about 240 miles south-southeast of the mouth of the Rio Grande. Maximum sustained winds are at 40 miles per hour. So again, air pressure is still at 1,008 millibars. There has been no change with that. Tropical storm warning has been extended eastward to Freeport, Texas. A storm surge warning has been issued for the coast of Texas from Port Aransas to St. Louis Pass, including Aransas Bay, San Antonio Bay, and Matagorda Bay. A hurricane watch has been issued for the coast of Texas from Freeport, Aransas to Sargent. So we got quite a lot here. Just incredible. So much going on here. So again, they are saying about 65 miles per hour at its peak. I do think that we could be seeing maybe even 70 or 75 miles per hour is still possible. So we are dealing with, again, a tropical storm still. Has not been upgraded. I do want to see if they are going en route to investigate the storm. Yep, we have Air Force 305 mission number 2 into Nicholas. So we do have a storm. We do have an aircraft reconnaissance going into Nicholas. We'll be definitely talking about that for sure. So there it is. That's where they're at right now. But currently the storm is looking unfortunately good. But you can really see the outflow right there. Look at all this convection to the north. Huge amounts of convection. Fortunately, there isn't a whole lot of convection near the center of circulation. I mean, there's a little bit, but not a whole lot. But lots of this rain bands or bands are just moving farther inland. If we look at the upper Texas coastline, if this would load a little bit better. Oh, beautiful. So this will give us a better idea of what we're dealing with in terms of what the storm is doing. So we do have this tropical storm watches farther inland, but this does show it makes landfall here to the north of Corpus Christi. So it is going to be moving farther towards the east. I think they're showing more towards Corpus Christi, a little farther to the east. Here it is right here at 65. Here it is at 40. And then tropical depression here. So this is the show farther to the north. So the heavy rain is going to be an increase. And I'm worried. I haven't even seen how much rain they're expecting for this. So again, they're saying 10 to 15 inches of rain for the Galveston and Houston area, which that is just, it's incredible and it's kind of scary. Now they're saying 3 to 5 feet of storm surge between Port O'Connor and San Luis Pass. There's now storm surge now expecting all the way from the mouth of the Rio Grande River all the way up the entire Texas coastline and all the way to intercoastal city, Louisiana. So, storm surge all the way from all of Texas and even good portions of Louisiana could be seeing some storm surge. Galveston Bay is seeing up to 2 to 4 feet of storm surge, and between Port O'Connor and San Luis Pass could be seeing 3 to 5 feet of storm surge. Matagorda Bay, Texas, up to 3 to 5 feet of storm surge. So, storm surge is really beginning to increase. I do want to go over the key messages. Periods of heavy rainfall are expected to impact portions of the Texas and Louisiana coast today through the middle of the week. Significant rainfall amounts are possible, potentially resulting in areas of considerable flash and urban flooding. All right, especially in highly urbanized metropolitan areas, isolated minor and moderate river flooding is also expected. There is a danger of life-threatening storm surge inundation along the coast of Texas from Port Aransas to San Luis Pass. Residents in these areas should follow any advice given by local officials. Nicholas is forecast to approach the middle Texas coast as a strong tropical storm late Monday and early Tuesday. I think it's going to be rather like early Tuesday morning. Early, or they're saying 1 a.m. Tuesday right there. So we'll just have to see what this storm does in the future. So, again, tropical storm conditions split along the portions of the middle Texas coast beginning Monday afternoon, with hurricane conditions possible from Port Aransas to Sargent late Monday and Monday night. Tropical storm conditions are expected along portions of the northeastern coast of Mexico and the coast of South Texas beginning Monday morning. So, again, hurricane conditions are now possible according to the National Hurricane Center. So these are tropical storm force wind speed probabilities. Right now, hurricane force wind speed probabilities are 5 to 10%. Very, very, very low, but the possibility is there. Here's 50-knot wind speed probabilities. I think that needs to go up a lot, like maybe 60 to maybe more 70 to 80%. And then obviously tropical storm force wind speed probabilities are over 100 or 90 to 100%. Well, because tropical storm Nicholas is a tropical storm. So what they're saying there could be flash flooding all the way from Brownsville, all the way through Houston, Lake Charles, and even, unfortunately, southeast Louisiana and parts of Mississippi. So, unfortunately, there could be quite a bit of big possibility of that. Here is storm inundation. You can really see down here the middle Texas coastline where they're seeing there should be some yellows here, but there's like literally no yellows. Nowhere. Kind of see even up here we're seeing yellows here. Go farther over here, there's some storm surge. Some storm surge even over into Mississippi and Alabama. There's some storm surge. So Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana, and obviously Texas will see storm surge. That's a very big area. And then if we look at storm surge watches and warnings, there is now a storm surge warning in effect, which, as you can see, is in the brighter pinks. Down in the pale pinks, we have the watches down here from Brownsville all the way to Corpus Christi, and then up in the Houston and Galveston area is just the watch. So we'll see this progress through time, since now there is going to be storm surge problems for sure. Warnings and surface wind. As you can see, hurricane watches in effect right there. There's a storm only to the north and to the east. So, storm is really developing quickly. Very, very fast. Are there any comments, questions, or concerns regarding Tropical Storm Nicholas's development and location of impact? And I will be answering your questions, because this is definitely something that we need to watch for and be slightly worried about. Hello, Sebastian. How are you? So again, we're really going to be watching this, as the storm could be producing lots of heavy rain, very gusty winds. This could be a big, big problem with. This could again become a hurricane, and we got to watch it very, very closely. And make sure we keep a good eye on this, because this could be producing lots of heavy rain. And again, gusty winds. I mean, depends on if this becomes a hurricane, we could be dealing with a lot more problems in the Texas coastline. So, I'm still gonna see what my parents say if I can go down to Galveston and film some storm surge happening down there. If I can't, that would be amazing. I would love to film some storm surge happening in Galveston, but I just don't know yet. That's just not a big possibility. There's not a guarantee right now, but I'm gonna see what my parents will say if I can go down there and film it. But this is the storm right now. Here it is, as you can clearly see. Lots of cloud cover. Even Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, and even parts of Florida are getting some of these rain bands. So, rain bands, the storm is really getting its act together, as you can see right here. Lots of convection in the storm right here. Still move to the north-northwest. Probably going to make landfall central Texas near Matagorda Bay, Texas is what I think. We'll really be dealing with a lot of storm surge up to 5 feet. Depending on how bad this gets, we could be seeing maybe even up to 7 feet. If this becomes a hurricane, definitely I think we could see over 7 feet or more of storm surge. Or if we're talking about winds of over 100 and, talking over, not 100, but gusts up to 100, winds 75, maybe even up to 80 mile per hour sustained winds. So right now we're dealing with a moderate to a strong tropical storm, 65, maybe as strong as 70 miles an hour. Really gonna have to watch this. There is aircraft reconnaissance is going in there right now. They should get there, and we should be able to getting data in, and there should be a wind update, or will be update at 7 o'clock. And so we will have to watch and see if they find winds excess of 35 knots or about 40 miles per hour. So we'll have to see. They're going to go in there and see if they find anything above that. But in release of those rain bands, we're going to be really watching out for tornadoes, because that's also going to be a problem. Do you think this weather system might affect fishing plans for Thursday, Friday in the Galveston Bay area? All right, Thursday and Friday. Yes, because even after a storm, let's say it makes landfall and it's way up here, all right, it's up here in this area, there's still going to be some onshore flow. It's still going to be pulling in moisture, and you're going to have wind still coming in like this. You're going to have wind kind of moving in this direction all along here. So there's still going to be rip currents. The waves are still going to be a little bit rough. Now, obviously, you're not going to have 50 or 60 or 70 mile an hour sustained winds. You're probably going to have up to, it's still going to be 15, 20 mile an hour winds, it's still going to be pretty breezy, and so the waves are still going to be a little bit rough. There's going to be rip currents in there, so really it's not going to be good for fishing. There'll be still the ocean, the Gulf of Mexico will still be pretty rough. The farther north you are, or closer to in this area you are, the rougher it's going to be. But definitely the ocean is going to really start getting rough. The waves have already gotten pretty rough out there, I believe. So, and we're only going to see that increase and get worse through time as the storm gets closer and intensifies and is getting closer towards the central area of Texas. Will Cypress and Jersey Village area be affected? Yes. Entire areas of Texas. All the way from down here to Brownsville, even Mexico, all the way up here, all the way to Mississippi and Alabama will be affected. They also could possibly be seeing some rough waves and maybe 6 inches of storm surge, up to a foot of storm surge is possible over there. So Jersey Village, Texas, Cypress, the Woodlands, even Dallas is going to be affected, because once this storm is going to start moving northward, and it's going to be bringing this energy in, and so it's going to produce a lot of heavy rain. So there'll be lots of heavy rain bands all across the Houston area. Brenham will be affected. Conroe will be affected. The Woodlands will be affected. All the entire southeast Texas will be affected. East Texas will be affected. West Louisiana, southwest Arkansas, southern Oklahoma could be affected. And so this is going to be covering a huge area. Look how big the storm is. All right, so just looking at that, those rain bands are going to look. The rain bands are just going to go farther inland with time, and so that's something that I'm a little bit worried about. What could be the worst case scenario? The worst case scenario is this goes through rapid intensification, and we see a Category 2 hurricane, and really the worst case, I think that would be the worst case scenario. Or the worst case scenario is it rapidly intensifies and slows down and stalls and drops 2 feet of rain over the Houston area and causes widespread flooding across the entire southeast area of Texas, and costing tens of billions in damages. So that would be a big problem rivers, bayous, creeks, streams could easily overflow if that happens. We could see flooding widespread from Jersey Village, Cypress. Let me just pull up some towns right now because I can't actually think of all the towns in the Houston area. There's so many towns. So obviously there'll be flooding in Spring, Aldine, Humboldt, Jersey Village, Katy, Missouri City. I think definitely Pearland, the Woodlands. If you're by the Ship Channel, there'll be some flooding there too. If you're by like White Oak Bayou, or if you're by any kind of river, creek, stream, or bayou or river, anything like that, that fills up very quickly and it can overflow. If you're in a flood area, it can easily flood very quickly. So I'm a little bit worried about the flooding. Tornadoes are also a problem. Houston could see some tornadoes. It'd be really cool if I actually filmed that. Seeing a water spout for the first time would be really cool, but terrifying at the same time. Why is Texas so prone to flooding? Does it not soak into the ground? The reason Southeast Texas is so prone to flooding is because of all the concrete. Water doesn't soak through concrete, and so it runs off, goes down the drains, and into the bayous, creeks, and streams. Those bayous fill up really quickly. The water, if you have a lot of rain, it's going to flood no matter where you're at. There's only so much the ground can soak in and the trees can take up. There's only so much of that. And once it reaches that limit, it can't soak up anymore. And then you have to worry about trees falling over, because once trees are just soaked and it can't take up any more water, then they're out. Then they can't soak up any more water. And all it takes is a 40, 50 mile an hour wind gust and a tree knocks over. Like that. Like it's nothing. But mainly the reason why it floods so easily is because we have a lot of concrete here. There's a lot of concrete. Houston's the 5th largest city in the nation. There's huge amounts of concrete. Again, water doesn't soak into concrete. So that's the biggest reason. And another reason is I think the Houston area needs to work a little bit better on its flood control. Flood control district needs to do a little bit something to get this water like I don't know, pumps. I don't know, but it seems a little rough. So again, yes, the water does soak into the ground, but really not the best. So flooding, tornadoes, storm surge is really going to be a problem. We're going to have to really watch the storm very closely and very, very carefully here in the future as the storm continues to undergo almost said rapid intensification. Not rapid intensification. Hurricane, is it possible? Yes. Are we saying it's going to be a hurricane? We don't know yet. Is there the possibility? Yes. If you think you should evacuate, always be safe. Always be safer than sorry, and evacuate if you feel the need to do so. Check the chat one more time. I'm trying to think of anything else I really need to talk about, because right now I pretty much have said everything that I needed to say. Let me get my phone. These other questions. Sure. So I've kind of said everything I needed to say. Here is the rainfall possibilities. Again, we could be seeing 10 to 15 inches of rain in some areas. That could go up in the future. They did upgrade this a little bit more. There's now a moderate chance of flooding here in the Houston area, so that's something we're going to have to watch out for. All the way from Corpus Christi, all the way in the Houston area, even into the Lake Charles area. Could be quite some flooding that's going to be possible in that area. So again, forecast advisory, they think that the maximum sustained winds are going to peak, I think, at about 55 knots, which is about 65 miles an hour. But I think it is possible that this could become an even stronger tropical system. Are there any other comments, questions, or concerns? Really not a lot to talk about. Just an incredibly big storm. So I am, again, worried about this. There's a lot of convection here. You can kind of see there's lots of convection here. The more convection that I start to notice, the bigger the storm is going to be, the more there's much more convection. It's lots of air, lots of rising air in the atmosphere, which is a sign of this storm is intensifying and getting stronger. I wanted to see this and talk about this. So you can really see the high cloud tops. Look how high these cloud tops are. We're seeing negative 80 to negative 85 degrees centigrade cloud tops. Those are some extremely high altitude cloud tops. So this is something, I'm going to go to the radar and just sort of look at the radar. So you can already see some of the rain making its way in the Houston area. So there's already rain beginning to fall here in the Houston area. Little bits of rain here. Very, very low, like blue. So very, very low amounts of rain. But look at these rain bands just making their way. Here's Galveston. So some of that rain's already approaching the Galveston area right now. So this just kind of gives us an idea of how much of the rain that we're looking at here. So that's certainly something I'm worried about, is the heavy rain already coming in. Here's the Lake Charles area. There's heavy rain making their way into the Lake Charles area. Here it is approaching the Galveston area right here. Here's the Corpus Christi. This is Corpus Christi, like down here. Here's Port Aransas, Matagorda Bay area right here. Here's Galveston. Galveston. Must have Galveston Bay. Yeah, it's Galveston Bay right there. So lots of rain already making its way inland. So it's does anyone have any questions? Because, you know, I kind of like to, I pretty much say what I need to and wait for people to comment their questions. Because it's not always like, I don't have a lot to say all the time. So if anyone has any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to go in the chat, because I really don't have anything else to say. Here's the radar. We have a bit better of an idea of the rain rate, what we're looking at here. So we could be seeing rain rates up to 2 to 3 inches of an hour, 2 to 3 inches an hour. In some areas, we could be seeing over 4 inches an hour. I don't know. Where's the X on this thing? Is it this? No, clearly not the X. I can't see. Okay, it's gone. So lots of heavy rain making its way already in the Texas area. So the storm is absolutely massive. It is covering the Gulf Coast. Pretty much almost all the Gulf Coast, even all the way into Florida, is getting affected by some of these rain bands. But as you can see here, lots of convection down here, and this heavy rain moving in the direction towards Texas. Look at this sort of this setup pattern. These bands just kind of like developing right off the coast and moving inland. Something I'm a little bit worried about in terms of flooding. So does anyone have any comments, questions, or concerns? I mean, I don't really have a lot to say, to be honest, because there's not a lot for me to actually say. Just an incredibly, really powerful storm in terms of the rainfall. Really, it is really kind of worried about it, to be honest. But with all that being said, I really don't have a lot to say. And I'm honestly probably going to have to end this off here relatively shortly because there's not a lot to talk about. So it's just really kind of a powerful storm, and it's honestly a little scary to see this thing yet. Have you seen the update from the National Hurricane to the 4 p.m. one? I haven't seen anyone cover it yet. Yeah, that's what I've been covering. 4 p.m. updates got winds of 40 miles an hour. There's really not much of a change. I mean, there's hurricane watches in effect, but I mean that doesn't specifically mean it's going to become a hurricane. As you can kind of see, here's the hurricane watch right there in Central Texas. There's a possibility that could become a hurricane, but it doesn't certainly mean 100% it's going to become a hurricane. And regardless of its intensity, hurricane again is possible right now with this system. We could be seeing winds of 75 to 80 miles an hour, maybe even up to 90 miles per hour, I think. We could be dealing with wind. We could be dealing with storm surge of 5, maybe 7, 8 feet above abnormally dry ground. We could be dealing with tornadoes and flash flooding and obviously heavy rain. So really, I mean, I pretty much have covered everything. There's not honestly a lot to talk about this storm because the storm is pretty much, here's the storm right there. There's really not a lot going on. I mean, it's still got 40 miles an hour, 1,008 millibars. There is rain making its way into the Houston area. Nothing super huge though. Nothing super crazy going on. So really, not. I don't really know what else to say, honestly and truthfully, because I mean, I pretty much said what I needed to say. Here's the update. You're gonna be dealing with flooding, strong winds. Evacuate if you feel that you need to, and if you think that you need to, then evacuate. And you would know if you need to evacuate. You know, if you think you need to evacuate, then you would know that. Yeah, I mean, I truthfully have not much of anything else to say. So, my next update will be at 7 p.m. Central Time. And with all that being said, have a wonderful rest of your afternoon. I'll talk to you guys later this evening. Peace out.